we're going to do it a little bit different today. We're just going to look out at this beautiful view and just have a little talk. It's quite windy, and I don't really want to fight against that and have to turn my body around and all that. So we're going to look out at this beautiful view. But I'm just curious, there's so many rabbit holes we can go down with regard to what humanity is and what has happened to humanity. What did we used to be like? Where did we come from? If you go back to the 1800s and the early 1900s with these population explosions, these orphan trains and the foundlings and the incubators where there's babies at these World's Fairs just hanging out in incubators, babies being delivered and with mail systems, and just these orphan trains going all over the world. So there's so many different rabbit holes you can go down with regard to what humanity is. But something is wrong. Something is not right. The evil is so out in the open, is so blatant and in our faces, and we're doing nothing about it collectively. It's justified, it's excused, it's ignored. Because I said this the other day when I was talking with somebody that, people always say, oh, well, you don't know what you don't know, or there's no way to know these things, or people just don't know. But at this point, with how bad things have gotten in the West, with how obvious it is if you just look at your own your life, your own history, your own memories, and you could just track how bad it's gotten, there's no way not to know. It's an impossibility not to see that something is wrong. Where there is literally genocides taking place, there's bombing campaigns taking place for no reason, and all of the West is funding it. All of the West is partaking in it, whether through taxation or whether through direct funding. We are watching the West being systematically destroyed, and nothing's being done. I look at 9/11 as kind of the tipping point. That was a test for them. How obvious that they made it. How clear as day that it was orchestrated and planned. And nothing happened. Nobody's been arrested. Nobody's been brought in for any type of justice. You look at 2008 with the housing crisis where these companies were knowingly propping up these horrible, horrible loans, knowing that it was going to come crashing down and people were going to suffer because of it. Too big to fail. The banks are too big to fail. And then you look at COVID. The entire world marching in lockstep, locking down their people, destroying small businesses, family businesses, destroying the psychology of the youth, the spirituality, the mentality of the youth. The biggest wealth transfer in human history. And now it's coming out that it was nothing. You got the inventor of the PCR test before he was just mysteriously taken out of this realm, saying that this is not a test. It is a tool to magnify a sample and to see what's inside. It's an amplification tool. It is not a test. And that is what they used to rack up their numbers and to cause the fear and the panic. It has come out that these injections cause and are causing irreversible harm. Myocarditis, strokes. You think of SIDS and sudden infant death syndrome, which is injection related. Babies aren't just dying. And now you have adults just dropping dead, cancer exploding, Alzheimer's, dementia, encephalopathy, brain swelling. You have all of it. We find out that the masks were just kind of a humiliation ritual. No quote unquote science behind it. Nothing there to actually tell you that this protects you from anything, because what they were testing for wasn't even actually what they were testing for. What people call the flu, which is just a seasonal detox of your body trying to purge out the harmful contaminants that it ingested over the years. And so the same time the earth is detoxing itself and cleaning itself out to get ready for spring, the body does the same thing. They call it the flu. There's a reason why they've never cured it, because it's just a natural process. So they took that natural process and they called it the most deadly virus in history. And they convinced people through their TV screens and their cell phone screens that if they do anything that the TV says, if they go against anything that the TV says to do, that they could die. They could kill their grandparents, they could kill their children. And out of fear and ignorance, they followed. And then they injected themselves with mRNA technology that has altered who they are at a spiritual level, their DNA, their genome, the genomic level. And we see the harm that has come from that. And we know that it was now complete and utter nonsense. Again, like 9/11, like 2008, where's the justice? Anyone from Pfizer, AstraZeneca, Johnson & Johnson, Moderna, anybody going to jail? Any doctors, nurses, nurse practitioners, pharmacists, pharmacist assistants, anybody going to jail for partaking in such evil without doing any type of due diligence, any type of research? What about any of the wars, any of the recent wars, Vietnam, Gulf of Tonkin? Oh, we're sorry, we got bad intel, it never actually happened. How many people were murdered during Vietnam? Both foreign and domestic. Look at the Iraq war. Oh, weapons of mass destruction. We have all the intel in the world to say that Saddam has weapons of mass destruction and we need to go in there. Oh, sorry, we got bad intel, there's no weapons. Okay. What, no, anybody going to jail? Any justice? What about 9/11? Nothing? No one going to jail? No investigating the leads that lead to certain institutions that are foreign, that are involving themselves heavily in everything that is American? Nobody going to jail? No, that's good. What about the Epstein files? We see all of these names. We see all of the criminality and the pedophilia. And although this is another distraction while they build out the AI grid and their surveillance grid, anybody going to go to jail there? We all know that they're involved. I mean, how could you be so naive to believe that any of these politicians are actually there for your benefit? Anybody going to go to jail with the Epstein files? No, I didn't think so. Hollywood, Nickelodeon, Disney, any of those sick pedophilic child trafficking pieces of anti-human trash? Anyone going to jail? No, I didn't think so. They're all part of the same club. They're all part of the same team. And their goal is to destroy anything that is godly, anything that is innocent, anything that is beautiful. And so when I say something is wrong with humanity, we are broken. We cannot name the good for the good, therefore we cannot name the bad for the bad. We are just walking through blindly, daily, like automatons, just reacting to stimuli, trying to stay as distracted as possible, busying ourselves with work, clubs, meetup groups, gangs, cliques, following a guru, developing an identity as a new age absolute child that thinks they can meditate and gravitate at a frequency higher than this realm. It doesn't work that way. We are all here as spiritual beings, the ones that see what's taking place. And if you think you could ignore that by meditating or levitating higher than the level of evil that runs this world, you are a part of it. Because our goal, our duty here is to speak against evil, to call out evil. But there's a whole subgenre of people that kind of see what's taking place here and they're choosing to absolutely ignore it. They're choosing to believe that they can become light and love and that they won't be affected by the ignoring of evil. You're going to be affected by it. If you know what's taking place and you're not calling it out because you're afraid you're going to make it grow by shining a light on it, you're severely lost. Because the only way you can fix a problem is by addressing the problem. If you don't get to the root cause of an issue, just like with the body, the society's no different, culture's no different, family issues are no different. You have to get to the source of the issue in order to solve the issue. Now, the freedom movement and the truth movement, whether those were put out there as, kind of a net, Max Egan has that theory that all of these groups were allowed to grow so that those with spirits and minds that could actually see what's taking place could all be corralled into one area of the internet, and their identities could be followed, and their behavior and their character and everything they do could be followed so they could be captured later. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. All I know is that there's something wrong with humanity. You can look at any social media platform and look at what people are talking about and what they're concerned with. And to me, it's all an exercise in futility, because what does it matter? What does your 4 million your 4 million subscriber count matter for your fitness channel or for your product review channel if you're living in a prison? If you're going to be forced to have a digital ID and a digital currency? Granted, most of these people have taken part in all of the previous tragedies that humanity has unfortunately walked through. So I get it, they don't care. They can talk about caring about humanity. They can talk about light and love. They can talk about trying to live like a warrior by working out as hard as you can and eating like a caveman, or whatever the genre or the niche that these people find themselves in. I just think, like, what are you doing? If you have children, why are you wasting all of your time talking about things that don't matter? Do you not see what's taking place in this realm? Do you not see that the prison is getting smaller and smaller and smaller? They've changed our history. They've rewritten our history numerous times. They've changed the calendar. They've changed the maps. We don't even know what this realm really is. We have no clue what this realm actually is. They have removed land masses from the maps. Flight patterns for the major airlines go specifically in certain directions so that certain bodies of land can't be seen. You think of Admiral Byrd in Antarctica and what he describes seeing on the other side of the quote-unquote ice wall, other green land. We don't even know what this realm is, and the people that everyone is looking to solve all of these problems are they are the very source of the problem. And as I get older, I'm in my 4th decade now. I just entered it, but as I get older, I'm starting to feel, it's not even a feel, it's just observing reality, that the vast majority of humanity isn't really, they might be human in form, they might be able to breed and have children and have jobs and function, but they are divorced from their spirit. Because how could you see the things that are going on? How could you see that, an institution like ICE being as brutal as it is publicly, buying up infrastructure, getting billion-dollar budgets for the next 4 to 5 years, almost $80 billion for infrastructure? What do you think it's going to be used for? What do you think the digital ID is going to be used for? What do you think the digital currency is going to be used for? Why do they want you out of gas-powered cars and they want you in EVs? Why does every electronic thing that they make, every electronic product, have back doors behind it, with the screens having cameras and the microphones always on? Why have they uglified every aspect of life, down to rain gutters and water fountains and light posts and just the style in which we build? Everything has been uglified because they know beauty is intrinsic to the human experience. Beauty inspires, beauty motivates, and so they destroy beauty because they are not human. The entities we are dealing with are not human. I don't know what else to say other than that humanity has to be broken at a soul level for the people that are controlling all of this to speak clearly and to speak publicly. You think of Sam Altman and Larry Ellison and Peter Thiel and Alex Karp. You think Netanyahu and Greenblatt and all of these people. Think about what Trump's talking about. Vance, all of these puppets, right? All of these figureheads. And the things that they say, Yuval Harari. You think of the World Economic Forum, United Nations, NATO, the USMC, the United States, Mexico, Canada agreements. Think about the fact that they just stole Venezuela and that they're wanting to steal Greenland. Think of all the things that are going on right now. How can you not see if you just pause and slow down and just pull the pieces in together and just start building a picture of what they're doing? Look at the obesity. How did that happen? Yes, personal responsibility, but look at the chemicals in the food. You think the government cares about you, you think the state cares about you, but they give you poisoned water to shower and drink with in your own home. You're not allowed to own property because you must pay property taxes through your entire life. Doesn't matter how hard you work and how quick you pay off your house, you never own it. You have to register your car every year or every 2 years, whatever it is, wherever you live. You need permission to travel. You need a passport to go to other parts of this realm, which belongs to you. That's another aspect of this whole thing, if you just want to talk about the basics. How do people not think for a second, who are these pieces of shit in high-priced suits that think they own me? That they can control my movement? That they can decide what goes in my body or on my body? That I must pay them in order to travel, in order to live. When at the same time, it is very out in the open that they are the very criminals that they are, quote unquote, hired or voted to protect the people from. They are the problem. They are the source of all darkness in this world. The state and those that support the state. NGOs, think tanks, orgs, foundations, they use all these words, but they're just pure evil. Absolutely pure evil. And for humanity not to collectively want to stand up and end it, and for there only to be a handful of people in comparison to the population, only a handful of people, spiritual beings that actually call it out for what it is, and that they don't pick sides, right or left, and they don't follow some man-made religion that has been rewritten multiple times. Books taken out of the Bible, the Book of Enoch, you can think of the book and the truth embedded in there, what this realm might have been. I mean, and just think about the three major religions: Christianity, Islam, and Judaism. How is it that one of them always feels that they need to have billions and billions of dollars at their disposal to protect them from the world hating them? They take control of all of the social media platforms, all of the censorship, all of the targeting, everything that they do in the name of protecting themselves because the whole world supposedly hates them. But yet, we don't have that same issue with Christianity or Islam. It's just Judaism. They're so concerned with the entire world hating them and trying to go after them, so they say, that they're being persecuted everywhere that they go, and for no reason. They've been kicked out of over 109 countries over 1,000 times over the years. But for no reason of their own. The world just hates them for no reason. How is this possible? Is it even logical to say such a thing? If you have a child and your child gets kicked out of every school that they go to, and as a parent you keep blaming the schools, is your focus in the right direction? There's stuff going on in this realm right now that is truly, truly sickening and disgusting and being normalized. Look at all the new movies coming out, how brutal and murderous and talking about sacrifice all the time and how just grotesque these movies are. Look at the music industry. Let's end it on just Western civilization because, as a Celt through and through, mostly Scottish, little Irish, little other Western Europe in there, but mostly Scottish and Irish. Just look at our own civilization and look how it's deteriorated. It doesn't even exist. What is there to be proud of anymore? The women of the Western world have been brainwashed to hate the men, hate their fathers, hate their uncles, hate their grandfathers, hate what should be their spouses, and now they're going in the polar opposite direction and having horrific results doing so, but yet they keep doing it. You see the street interviews, you see the dating shows. If you ever try to keep up on, the social aspect of the West, and you hear the way these young girls talk and the things that they believe, and you can see just how lost and distorted their minds are, how lost and broken their spirits are. And they hate their own people so much that they are selling out their countries by, allowing fighting age young men from adversarial cultures to come in, and then they turn out to be the victims of these same men. That's all we have to look at. Just look at the West and how much it has fallen in the last 60 years and start asking questions. If you look at the finance side, ask questions. If you look at the housing side, dig into it. If you look at the education aspect, dig into it and see who writes the books, who creates the curriculum, who are teaching the teachers that go into the classroom, the College of Education at each university. Look into it and you'll get some answers. What's happening to the West? Now I am a proponent of radical personal responsibility because of, the only moral position in this life is to be an anarchist. And that means radical personal responsibility. If you actually know the definition of what anarchy is, it's not chaos. It's not without rules. And the prefix just means without. Archon is a ruler or a master. It just means without rulers or masters. We live in a world based on freedom with voluntary interaction. That's all anarchy is. That's why they try to demonize it, and that's why throughout history, whenever they mention that word in the media or in movies or in print, they associate it with chaos because they don't want you to know, they do not want you to know that it is literally the system of freedom. But I am a radical proponent of personal responsibility because there's no other way to live in this life. Because if you're not living responsibly, then by default you're living irresponsibly. You're trying to delegate your responsibility as a man or as a woman to police, military, politicians, all the very institutions that are destroying your world. Everything that everyone is upset about, they continue to support. But anyway, you look at the fall of Western civilization, and we can point to all of the institutions that are a part of it. We can point to the brainwashing and the manipulation tactics. But at the end of it all, it's up to each man and woman to question things, to question reality, to question inconsistencies, to observe patterns. And people aren't doing that. People are loath to do that. And this goes back to the beginning, and I'll end it here, is what is humanity? Is it possible that humanity collectively still is a spiritual species? Or is the mass of humanity what they call NPCs? Are they void of spirit? Did they give away their spirit in previous incarnations just to be a part of the system? And are most people here, most beings here, just to normalize the evil? So it's harder and harder for those that are questioning the system to stand strong because they feel so outnumbered. Because make no mistake, and I know I'm not the only one that feels this way, if you live the life of someone that cares deeply, and it affects your soul, it affects your heart when you see what's happening to humanity, and the loss of freedom and where they're taking us with the 15-minute cities and the digital ID and the digital currency and the track and trace systems and the flock security cameras. And, you think of Larry Ellison and what he talks about with mass surveillance 24/7. You think about the chemtrails, which I don't know if they're showing up in this camera right now, but I'm pretty sure they are. You think about everything that they're doing and everything that they're accomplishing. How could it not affect you at a soul level, to the point of, especially if you have children, where you don't speak out against it? So that begs the question, what is humanity? Is the majority of it just here to normalize the evil? And are the rest of us that are questioning everything and affected by the evil, are we the soul targets? Is this a soul? I mean, you think of the people that talk about Earth being a people farm or a soul harvest. And with each reset, they take more and more of the souls that are still here. To me, that makes the most sense, because it seems like those that actually truly care at the level of understanding objective morality and objective truth and what it means to be a free spiritual sovereign being, we are so sporadically placed upon this realm that we can't even interact with one another except through a screen. So when I think about humanity, it's sad, it's heartbreaking, because I don't think there are too many spiritual beings left on this realm. How could there be? Look what's taking place. Look at the evil. Look at the way people behave. Look how lost people are. The obesity, the crayon-colored hair, the septum piercings, the men have their trends that they follow with the mustache and the mullet, right? You think everybody that they need to join a group or a gang or a meetup group just to feel like they have some sort of a power in this life. They always have to be a part of something. Think about the obsession with sports, even though they're blatantly rigged, and people talk about it openly being rigged, and they still invest all of their time and energy in it. And then you think of the coming AI world. As soon as artificial general intelligence, AGI, is unleashed, what is that world going to be like? What is the world going to be like when they have their universal basic income with strings attached? You could go on and on, right? I mean, Spain legalizing 500,000 or five, I forget what the number is. It's either 500,000 or 500 million. It's some insane number. I think it's 500,000. Fighting age males, legalizing them in their country. It took Spain 700 years to get Islam out of their country so they could go back to being themselves. Now they're just their government, because all governments are traitorous pieces of shit, but now they're just, letting them right back in. Got an interesting future. But I might just do this format for a while. I like it. I like looking out at the view and being able to talk and being able to focus without just walking. But we'll see. But anyway, I'm out of here. I just wanted to ramble for a bit, because I know I'm not the only one that feels like every day could be an exercise in futility because of what the masses are doing. But we got to remain spiritual. We got to remain sovereign in our hearts, minds, and spirits, and live, kind of like a philosopher king, a philosopher warrior, where you're taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, and you speak against evil as much as you can, wherever it is, whether it's one-on-one conversation with a coworker or the family member, bring it up somehow. Doesn't matter how they respond, just drop that seed and just keep moving. But that's the food for thought. What is humanity? Because there's no way humanity is still holding on to its spirit at a collective level. But anyway, till next time, take care of yourself. Never behind.